So today's lesson, we're going to do a little bit with basically when you have the sides or a side and an angle, you're looking for a missing angle. Basically, in theory, what we did before the break, yes, I know we did some of this Jedi Academy work, which for a lot of you guys, it really took some significant work to get there. We're going to build up one of the skills required to go back and finish that off today and tomorrow. And then basically, this unit is more or less trying to work on what do we do with trig when we have multiple triangles. You can see our exam for this comes pretty quickly. Right, comes pretty quickly. So just recognize we won't be spending a ton of time on trig. Basically, we have a week and a half that is left before the end. So I'm going to be jumping right into it. Now, starting today, really the simple part. If a triangle is 180 degrees in terms of the angles inside of it, we can figure out one missing angle if we have the other two, because they all add up 180. So in a case like this, let's look at, so we have two angles here, okay? We have 35 degrees, and how big is this bottom left one? What's that little square thing mean?
90 degrees.
Right, 90 degrees, okay. So we know that 35 degrees plus 90 degrees plus x is equal to 180 degrees, okay? And if I know that stuff, how can I find the missing angle? Do one of you guys need to move? Pretty good. It's always embarrassing to get moved into high school class. Although I did get moved in my chemistry 30 class by my teacher, who I love, but he moved me, then kicked me out, then told me I wasn't allowed back in without a note from my mother. So please don't make me do that to you. It's quite embarrassing. I waited him out for a day to see if he remembered, and he didn't. So I got very lucky. I called his bluff for one day, thinking I might be safe, and I was in that case. He didn't go off, but I had a very uncomfortable evening thinking, do I talk to her or not? In that case, I did. So, anyhow, that's probably not too related here. So, how would I find my unknown here, other than by asking for a note from my mother?
360 minus 180.
360 minus 180. What's that? 180? No. Remember, first of all, here the triangle is 180. Yaki's absolutely right. We're going to subtract some stuff, but the total is 180. X is the missing thing. So what we should do is take all this stuff and subtract it from both sides. Subtract 35 and subtract 90 to figure out what X is, right? Because 35 plus 90 plus something is 180. 35 plus 90 is 125. So if we can take 125 and subtract it from both sides, all we have left over is whatever the missing piece is. So 180 minus 125 gives me 55 degrees. So this here is 55 degrees. So see how all I did is basically add up this plus this plus this needs to be 180. What's the thing I don't have? So 78 plus 62 plus something is 180. That x is that something. If I think about 78 plus 62, that's the same as 80 plus 60, it's 140. So 140 plus something is 180. You may not need to do any fancy math at that point. 140 plus what is 180? 140 plus what is 180? Or 40 plus what is 80? Close, but not really. Yeah, 40. Right? 78 plus 62 plus 40 is 180. You're just asking what number fills in that blank. So this here is 40 degrees. Sorry, it sounds very dramatic and very interesting, but not to talk about. Sounds good, Isaac? Leave the poor lady alone. Well,
You're gonna get charged for child pornography.
what? Let's just leave this here. We can talk about it later. If there's consternation to be had, okay? I suspect it's very difficult to connect to our trigonometry lesson in any case, okay? No thanks.
No.
All right. Okay. So how about this one? We have three angles here adding up to 180. So 26 plus 37 plus x is 180. I generally find the easiest thing is add these together first. But if we're thinking about mathematically what we do, 180 equals 26 plus 37 plus x. What I've seen some students do, this works pretty well actually. Subtract 26 first. end up with 154 is 37 plus x. Let's just doing this in 2 steps, eh? And then subtract 37. And we're left with x equals 117. Is that right? 117 degrees?
Yes.
We just check, okay, 117 plus 26 plus 37. Oh yeah, good. So, when you have the other 2 angles, you add up the 3 to 180 and figure out what the missing one is by subtracting those away. Now, in a case instead like this, where now we're looking for an angle using sides we have here. What could we do here? How do we do this? Now let's go back to our trig identities for a second. Let's go back to here. Thinking about angles and then the sides, opposite, adjacent, tangent, whatever those setup is. In a case like 2a here, so from this angle x, I'm dealing with the opposite side and the adjacent side. I'm dealing with the opposite and the one beside it. I don't have any information about the hypotenuse. Okay, so I need to know which trig ratio I can use if I'm using opposite and adjacent. Which one's opposite and adjacent again? 10, okay. So tan, and in this case, if I set up my tan relationship, remembering tan of some angle equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, so in this case, tan of x is the unknown, equals opposite, this one is 8 over adjacent, this one is 10. Okay, tan of x equals 8 over 10. Wait a second, okay. So we just said tan of x equals 8 over 10. Now this is a little bit confusing about how I would solve for x here. Anyone remember this? How would I find what angle? Because what we did before the break was like we had an angle and one of these sides and we were looking for another side. Now we have both sides and we're looking for a missing angle. Anyone know what calculator operation could help me out here? So I'm going to be doing something with tan. But the issue is what I can put in the calculator is like tan of some angle. Here I don't know this angle. What do you think the opposite operation of tangent is? You know how we're trying to like get rid of multiplication, do division? We're trying to get rid of a subtraction, do an addition, or an opposite operation. What do you think the opposite operation of tangent would be? Well, I'll give you a hint here. On your calculator, you have a tan key. And then above it, you have a little tan minus 1 key, inverse tan. Basically, tan and inverse tan are opposite operations. Sometimes you'll see arctan instead, same thing. But if you are looking for an angle, you're going to always use the inverse sign. And I'll actually write that out here. So in this situation, the way that I find x is by doing, is by doing the inverse trig ratio of whatever my size is. So in order to find x, find my unknown, I'm going to do the inverse trig ratio of what I have there. So what I'll put in my calculator is second tan of 8 over 10. And I'll see what I get. Anyone else get 38.65 degrees? We'll call it 39 degrees. Here's whole. Second 10, 8 divided by 10 bracket. Yes? Solids, what you got? Yeah? You got 39 degrees too? When you put this in your calculator?
Sure did.
Remember, guys, something you've probably never heard anyone say before, the only way to learn math is do math. Do the stuff as I do it, please. It always feels like watching a teacher. Yes, great, makes sense. Wow, he's handsome. Wow, he's doing a great job. And then you have to do the work. Oh, no, I don't know how to do it. Right. Okay, next one. So I have an angle, and from this angle, I have the adjacent, and I have the hypotenuse. Which trig ratio uses adjacent and hypotenuse? Which one uses A and H.
So that's a cosine.
Nice. I like how a few of you are actually just like looking up there. Oh yeah, I see. It's like on the wall. Nice. So cos of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, or in this case, cos of x is equal to 20 over 30. And yes, that fraction is the same as 2 over 3, or 0.6 repeating. So what we learned in the last one, to find x, I can do my inverse. I do my inverse trig ratio, cos minus 1 of 20 over 30. Right, it's almost like I'm doing opposite operation, inverse cos, inverse cos. So second cosine 20 over 30, or 2 over 3. And my angle here is the nearest whole.
48.
48. 40.18, so we'll call it 48 degrees. Nice. John, book looks like this. Lesson 3. Oh, you don't have one?
No. What size the bathroom, please? No.
Alright, this one. From x, let's see, so from x, I have opposite and hypotenuse. Notice how on this angle, when x was here, this was the adjacent. Notice how on this one, when x is here, this is the opposite. It's always in relation to the angle. In relation to the angle we're talking about. I'm smiling and nodding even though I have no clue. Even though I'm going to have to do an exam on this next week. We're tracking along, guys. We're tracking along. Okay, so opposite hypotenuse, that means I'm using the sine relationship. Sine of theta is O over H. Or in this case, sine of x is 2 over 5. So to find x, I'm going inverse sine of 2 over 5, 4.4. Second sine 2 divided by 5 bracket equals x is 23.57, so we'll call it 24 degrees. That's impossible. Looking at that, does that ring a bell? Or are you just want to ring my bell? You alright? Can I see either this finger or that? Oh, never mind. Okay. Good. Good. Yes? No, I think we're all of this scroll. Sorry. No more pencils left. You'll have to use the blood from your fingers.
Oh, we'll keep, you have a needle in there?
I only have very dull spoons. We can
Well,
sharpen.
take the blade off the sharp.
We can sharpen them though. I think actually we're all out of pencils on this side of the city. No, we can restock a bit. We can restock from my stash of stolen pencils from students. You know that when students fall asleep in my class, I steal their pencils? Maybe not. But they're coming from somewhere. We got a Halloween one here. The next Halloween. Sure. Sounds good. Come get it.
Where is
In the yogurt container of pencils. Okay. I see that I have a very excited audience, very ready to listen and engage with all the thrilling content I'm trying to share. So why don't I stop for now and let you practice a bit, and then we can continue on in about 30 minutes. I think this will be a good starting spot, but a little bit of practice. Maybe 30 minutes is wrong. Let's say 15 is probably fair. But then we'll start cooking again.